did it again. It's some weird matrixy. We got to get off Skype. I don't know what's going on.
It's a glitch.
And go ahead and laugh at us because we're recording on Skype. Because you know what? We tried other ways, and this way is actually quite efficient.
Yeah,
and I'm lazy, and I do much less editing this way. I mean, it's not like we really edit this podcast. When I say edit, what? I mean I run it through like a sound leveler and send it on its way.
Dan, don't let them know what we do or don't do.
I think if they listen to this podcast, they're pretty fucking aware that we don't edit this shit. Listeners, this is new to you, and this is I already dropped. See, I'm already cussing now because thinking about editing makes me kind of cuss. Somebody suggested to me that we use like Descript or something to get rid of all the ums and uhs, and I'm like, have you listened to the podcast? That would destroy it all. Like if we put it in Descript and made it shiny, it would destroy the whole thing.
It takes away all the I don't know, the nuances that make it real, right?
Well, the cool thing about this is our podcast is worth about as much as this issue of Destroyer Duck cost in 1982. $1.
$1, yeah. And if you were paying for this podcast, I'd buy that for $1.
Is this podcast worth $1 to you? No, we already know. So this was not a pitch for Patreon. Let's just.
That's why you're getting it for free.
It sounded like you were going there, right? It literally sounded like you were about to say, "Well, this is podcast worth $1 to you. You can sign up on Patreon. Sign up on Patreon. You get this super super duper Greg and Dan feed where we have an after show where we undress the duck."
I mean, not to say that we wouldn't do that because we could do that.
Like our after show would just be you eating like green hot dogs or something.
We would actually have to put the video content on there where I'm actually showing people the secret sauce, if you will.
Well, maybe that is the after show. Just eating.
I'm sure people want to see me just do stupid. I mean, people when I do live,
no commentary though, just you eating.
Just me eating.
Yeah, they never know what's going to happen. It could be you eating green hot dogs. It simply could be you eating the lasagna that you put in the slow cooker. I don't know.
Or what was it? I did the chili cook-off last week for work where I made a really nice chili, and then my wife was like, "Oh, hey, this is really good. Are you actually bringing this to work?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, no, you're not. And she like immediately poured half of it into containers and left me with not enough to bring to the chili cook-off. So then I had to be that guy. So I opened up a can of Nally's chili and then poured that into the chili that I made.
There's still Nally's chili that still exists?
Yeah, there is. I had it in the bunker stash. So I pulled that out. It was a big one, family size.
Wait, what year was this Nally's chili in the bunker stash from?
That's questionable. I don't know.
I've seen Nally's chili on the shelf. Not that I'm looking.
When I opened it and it came out in a log. And it made a splorp sound.
And you brought this to work and fed it to people.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a perfect transition.
It was fine. It was still in date.
I think that's a perfect transition to Destroyer Duck number 3.
Because it destroyed some toilets.
It comes out in a log.
It does come out in a log. No,
and smells really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we have cover notes, and so we're back into Destroyer Duck number 3. We are still in the Graphite edition put out by Tomorrow's Publishing, which is freaking fantastic. We've got the original Kirby pencils on here, and we've got on the cover some notes from Steve Gerber. And it says, "We are looking into the apartment through the eyes of someone standing in the doorway." See, I don't even have to describe the cover because I can just read Gerber's description of the cover. This someone is holding 2 mammoth pistols, one in each exceedingly large male hand. So in effect, not affect, effect, in effect, we are looking down the barrels of these guns. The guns are pointed at Duke, Brad, and Cherry's Jubilee, who two of these characters we don't know yet, in costume, who are central figures of the cover. Duke and Cherry's are starting to charge at the man holding the guns. Brad is frozen with fear, clutching the Vanilla Cupcake telephone to his bosom. Now, I will say we had heard that Jack Kirby cannot draw duckbills.
Yes.
I'm going to make an argument that he did also chose not to draw a Vanilla Cupcake telephone. I think he just gave a Vanilla Cupcake doll.
Yes.
But, this is cool. I love this because these are things like you would write to your artist, right?
Oh, yeah. No, totally. This is like I would write something like this to any of the artists that I work with. So, here's a description of what I want.
I love these inside looks. Well, we get the first page. Destroyer Duck, manslaying Mallard event on a mission of vengeance. And the title of Pheromones.
Oh, pheromones.
And we have just a freaking amazing page.
There's so many lines going on.
One, it looks like he's coming through cellophane.
Yeah.
But this is how Jack Kirby draws him waking up after being poisoned by the giant barbecue forks, right? Mm-hmm. And it says, granite walls excluding the light, the ancient air is fetid, unbreathable cobwebs cling to his face and beak. He is suffocating. And the guardians of this place, a horn-headed jackal and a falcon with the visage of Medea, bleat and cackle their approval. So he's losing it. And then, we find out it's because he's actually in a bag.
Oh, yes.
And he's in a body bag, and he's in a body bag at an animal shelter. Actually, just like an animal. It's a portable animal shelter, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And there's one angry dog who apparently bit off his owner's nose, which I'm going to imagine he probably wants to eat ducks too.
Probably.
Generally dogs, like ducks. I think ducks are kind of the natural enemy of dogs, at least of my dog. So
dogs like ducks. Ducks are tasty.
Well, I don't know if they like to eat them.
Yeah. They're tasty.
So, or they like to retrieve them for me, which I don't even know if they want to eat them, but definitely she wanted to retrieve a duck for me. But we get, he's in a body bag, and Duke says, promise myself in Nam wouldn't be caught dead in one of these. So new thing about Destroyer Duck. I didn't know he was in Vietnam.
I think that's in that first issue, when he was in the war. That was supposed to be.
I thought he was like a soldier of fortune.
Yeah, but I think that was like when you read the background information and stuff like that Gerber had put together, it was implying that he had, in his universe, he was in Vietnam.
Well, that makes sense for here, because now the dog immediately breaks out and lunges at his throat, but he stuns the canine, and they're fighting on top of the truck, and then he runs off, and they storm into a cafe and make some dude really mad.
Yeah.
And there's a off-color remark we're going to pass by on that page.
Jump over it.
It was 1981. I don't know that it makes it right, but it was 1981.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we get a big fight between the duck and the dog. And honestly, too, I like this fight sequence because it wasn't what I was expecting leading off the book. We had just ended with Medea being triumphant over Duke. I didn't expect them to just leave him for dead. I also didn't expect a fight between a duck and a dog, but yeah, I mean, they are natural enemies. So
right.
And Duke escapes through a fire escape, and he busts into a room. And what the hell? There are telephones everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we get a guy that walks out. And he says, "Beryl, is that you? I was voiding. I didn't hear you." And okay. So they use that other word, but well, anyway. So we get a conversation between our new character and the duck, who apparently, based on the cover information, we know as this is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Don't you think we need a Trent in here to go with a Brad?
Probably. Isn't
Trent the name for like every villain in an 80s teen movie.
Trent, yeah.
What would Brad be? Is Brad the hero, or is Brad like the partner, the buddy?
The buddy.
Yeah, but Trent is definitely like
Bad
I mean,
guy.
Trent. What was that? Was that K2?
Yeah, I think not
movie?
K2. Better Off
No,
Dead.
not K2. What?
Better Off Dead. Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead.
Yeah. No?
What about K2?
K2. You're talking about the one where the two friends go off in the van to go.
I was talking about where they have the skiing race.
That's Better Off Dead.
Oh, what's K2? Is
K2,
that a real movie?
that's our Aspen Extreme where they go to do the K2.
Oh, okay. So it's not a race.
And they're two best friends. They leave like the East Coast where they're like the hot shit ski guys, and then they go to Aspen, and the one guy he like gets the one friend ends up like getting mixed up with some drug dudes, and then the other friend is like, I gotta save you, but
It seems different.
well, it's very different.
Seems much more serious.
Yeah, Better Off Dead is the one where John Cusack is like, I got to see this. I can do this. I can, race you down the hill. It's much more fun.
Anne would be so angry with me right now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it's the hill. I think they call it the K2.
Okay, well there we go. All right, so with all of that back knowledge, we're in a room full of telephones with Brad.
Way off. Woo. Brad and his solophones. He's got
it's okay.
so many
Sometimes,
phones.
Our listeners should be picking up that you actually have way more of the useful background information for these podcasts so far. It's like a reversal of worlds. And I thought you were just going to be dropping knowledge about Howard the Duck, but no, like it's like the whole history of like Strawberry Shortcake, and now correcting me on movies, and this is fantastic. I had no idea.
Enough,
so
in Better Off Dead, they do all this like really cool animation and stuff like that to John Cusack's like crazy like hamburger experience, and then in One Crazy Summer they use the same animation type in that movie as well.
Well, do you think in any of those movies they would have a character that hoards telephones? Because that's what we're looking at right here.
Oddly enough, in One Crazy Summer, there's an uncle who keeps the phone line open because he's trying to win a radio contest.
Oh, okay. Isn't it Real Genius where the guy entered all the contests?
Yes, correct. In Real Genius, he was the real genius by entering all the contests, and he wins all the contests.
And he goes away at the end of the movie after the house blows up with popcorn.
Yes. Which,
okay. Well,
oddly enough,
here,
I have a really nice art piece done by somebody hanging over my door of that scene.
Well, here, I love that scene. It's one of my favorite things in all of movies. Now here, we have Brad.
I like the scene with the Jell-O.
Brad, the phone. He hoards phones because he works for the phone company.
Yes.
And he says, but he's quit and he just has the phones, but they were going to be gifts for people. And the only person knows that he's alive is Beryl Mudge, who lives upstairs, and he has a crush on her. So this guy is a shut-in who used to work for the phone company and owns lots of phones.
It tracks.
Yeah.
It tracks.
Okay. And he says, in fact, I bought her a very special phone because she's like my very own Vanilla Cupcake. And he's got a Vanilla Cupcake phone.
Okay.
Which looks creepy as hell.
Very.
Like touching it.
It's kind of like my Garfield phone.
Yeah, and Duke is like, yeah, personally, I'm partial to tarts. I was like, weird? Okay. And he's like, no, Vanilla Cupcake is a sweet fantasy girl, the sweetest, most charming little thing. The telephone looks just like her, and it's scented with the soothing aroma of vanilla, like all her products. So they're just driving home the Strawberry Shortcake relationship. If you missed it in the last issue, which I would have if you hadn't pointed it out, it's here now. And then he says, here, take a whiff. She brings out the most lovable, vulnerable side of everyone. And Duke is eyes a gap reading Vanilla Cupcake, a trademark of Entertainment Concepts Ltd, a subsidiary of God Corp.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's God Corpse. So is that like an army of God Corps?
It is the army of God Corp. God Corpse.
Well, meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, I mean, meanwhile, on Long Island, it really does say meanwhile.
Meanwhile.
We get back to Wobbelina, remember the dancing leg lady?
Yes.
And she's having Medina escorted out. It says,
away.
Medina Sovolakis, a convicted child murderer, was hired as part of GodCorp's pioneering equal opportunity program for ex-offenders. We never dreamed she would repay our generosity by slaughtering 2 policemen and endangering other innocent lives. And so, very similar to the second Star Wars movie, which is really the 5th Star Wars movie, the really cool villain from the last episode is defeated in one panel.
Oh.
Fuck you, Count Dooku. You're done.
Done.
And what did it make them in the first movie? Like, he beat the shit out of them in the first movie, and then he's done in the second movie in, like, a scene.
In a scene, yeah.
Not that bugged me at all.
Not at all.
But that happens here as well. Steve Gerber writes Medea right out. I really think he did this just so we wouldn't do any. He predicted the future, and he knew we'd want to do more Medea jokes through the entire podcast.
And he's like, nope, can't do it.
Like Medea Goes to Jail, a Tyler Perry exclusive, because I believe that one was actually a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you can get that podcast on our Patreon.
Right, the Medea Goes to
Yeah.
Jail podcast. If you just sponsor us with $1, you can sign up for our Patreon at 8675309.com.
Yeah, and then we'll have a video feed where you'll just watch me eat a canned chicken.
And learn about Medea.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic.
I will never eat a canned
interested
chicken again.
in Patreon, you can reach out to us at 8675309.com.
You can use the area code.
There's no area code to that number.
You could use the area code 360.
Isn't that Jenny's number?
It is Jenny's number, but if you use a 360, you will get a really nice person in Olympia. No joke.
Wow. Of course you have. Well,
Of course I have.
Of course you have. God damn it. Okay. I'm going to have to cut that out. So. Well, maybe there will be some editing in this podcast, or maybe not. Who knows? Just offended half the world. Well, anyway, we run off Medea and Wobbly Lady. That'd be Wobblina Strangle Legs.
Wobbelina.
Yeah. Medea says, lies, lies. They paid me to do this company's killing. You'll pay for this Strangle Legs. Mommy doesn't forget. Not creepy at all. And she's carted off. And Wobblina said, now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll come with me, I would like to conclude this briefing on a positive note. And we get the other creepy Mead Packer, the other Packer. I said the other Mead, but it's the other Packer.
Yes.
And he's there. It looks like they've gotten Vanilla Cupcake off that strange operating table thing she was on before. And she is just, golly wogs, Uncle Mead. Are all the nice people here to see me? Cupcakey keen. I'm like, this just like, not only is this creepy, the art with all of the Vanilla Cupcake stuff everywhere, the lunch boxes. I mean, like, again, hey, did you know Jack Kirby's really good?
Yeah.
I've heard that.
You can see it in this panel. I mean,
how long do you think it took him to draw this page?
About 10 minutes.
There's just no way. This is a day-long page right here.
Yeah, no, it's so much detail, so much stuff going on in here.
I think maybe there's some other pages that took less time, but this one is yeah, this is, and it's just a splash of all the shit they sell for Vanilla Cupcake. And we get to another page, and now we get to more of the plot. So we get from Mead, and the world loves Vanilla Cupcake TM. This year, the product has grossed nearly $1 billion, leaving her blue and strawberry competition far behind. So, again, if you didn't get that it was strawberry shortcake, well, we've got it now.
We've got it now.
And we get an interesting conversation where Vanilla Cupcake's like, we're traveling to Washington and London and Paris and even Hokum. That's real far away, I'm even going to get a kiss from General Yusa Abalik. So, yeah, we've got her interjecting herself into Middle East politics. It is interesting in the book, too. These 2 pages, I'm wondering, I didn't see in the notes. They look like they've been inked.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they didn't have the original pencils for those 2 pages.
They might not have.
Which kind of makes me sad because I would like to see the original pencils for that crazy splash. It also wouldn't surprise me if somebody got a hold of that and is holding it in their personal collection because that page is crazy.
Yeah.
So we get some inside baseball with Vanilla Cupcake. We meet Jewel, her mom, in the next couple scenes, and we find out that Jewel is that classic Hollywood mom, controlling everything that happens to her daughter. And then we get to the bottom of the page and we get, the tortured Vanilla Cupcake, because we saw her tortured last issue, right? So she's not just being a spoiled brat, like she's being literally tortured. And she says, pulled your universal jointed tush out of the furnace, didn't I, strangle legs? Maybe you can return the favor. So because she's distracting them from the controversy with Medea, right?
Right.
And someday let them suck your glands dry instead of mine. So we start to get a hint of what's going on. So I'm guessing it seems like the scent for all the products may be coming from
her.
Ms. Cupcake. We get that confirmed in a couple pages, so we're not spoiling too far ahead. Also, with the pheromones title of the book, it kind of gives it away.
Yeah.
And then we get, and you know what? Remember how I said I was going to just clip stuff that's creepy as we go through this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm clipping this Wobbleina looking at a Jewel here, because that is hella creepy.
Yeah, the way she's sitting with her Wobbleina arms.
Yeah, and
she looks like a spider.
And we just get a kind of temper tantrum, kind of like, I don't even remember the woman's name, but there was that scam artist that kept dressing up as if she was young. She kept sneaking into high schools. This was a story like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This has that vibe going on with it.
Totally.
And anyway, but she kind of stands up for herself and she's like, hey, my name's Opal, it doesn't have a TM after it. So we do find out her real name is Opal. And Mead's like, no, don't cry. We have a property. We have to protect the trademark. And, this is sort of terrifying. I don't know, sort of terrifying might not be the word.
Very terrifying.
But they also disclosed still they have a lot to do in Hokum and that Mr. Upwind is counting on it. So we don't know. We know that Cogburn from last issue was in Hokum, but we don't really know like what they're doing there yet. So they haven't really given that away. So they're hanging us on that. And then we get to the next page and it says a short while later, Beryl and I have spoken. We're back to Brad. Beryl and I have spoken only rarely. She is a very private person and quiet like me. And he knocks on the door, and the woman says, yes, who is it? Assuming that's Beryl. It's Beryl, it's Brad from downstairs. Look, I have brought you a present. A telephone in likeness of... And she punches him, and she says, get that monstrosity out of my face, or I'll tear it to bits with my teeth and shove its extremities down your sniveling throat. And she says, shut up and go die, and slams the door. I'm like, there's a lot of go dies in these.
Yeah. Go die.
And Duke's like, so much for romance. Let's go home. And Brad is heartbroken. But Beryl comes back, they go in, I guess. She says, stop right there. Pardon the intrusion, lady. But they go back in, and they actually meet her, and they find out why she went crazy when she saw the picture. Or saw the phone.
Yeah, she's got a lot of weapons? Stuff in there. Yeah.
Well, she has, if you'll recall, so Medea had a knife through a picture of Vanilla Cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady has a knife through a picture of Jewel, Vanilla Cupcake's mom.
Yes.
I don't know if that'll play into the story at all.
I don't know. Foreshadowing.
There's so much here, by the way. I don't even think I saw that on the first pass. I think I just saw that now.
Oh.
Again, that Jack Kirby guy is really good. There's layers and layers here. I'm sure Gerber was talking about what to put in the pictures too. But yeah, geez. Okay, so we find out she says she goes a little berserk when she sees those awful images of her sister. And Brad's like, your sister's Vanilla Cupcake? And she's like, And he's like, it's thrilling. She's like, it's not thrilling, you nitwit. And she's holding a hand grenade. So I just don't think I'd make the lady angry.
No, not at all.
But we get a fabulous flashback scene, and we find out that this person is named Cherry's Jubilee because she smelled like sweet cherries when she was born. People loved her, and they let her do anything she wanted. But, of course, that meant her dad, as soon as she was away from folks, she didn't have her charm over them. So kind of pheromone powers. Mm-hmm. I don't even, yeah. There are other characters in comics with their pheromone powers. Star Fox, who has not aged well at all. I can think there was another one in the Legion called Charma for a minute. Who the reason I bring Charma up is because, or Karma. It was either Charma or Karma. And I really think you could go it either way because her power was the same. It was a pheromone power that made men love her as she charmed them. So is it Charma or anyway? But I bring her up because she debuted with, of course, everybody's favorite Legion villain, Grimbor the Changeman. See, you had no idea.
I had no idea.
Grimbor, I do think Grimbor the Changeman would actually be an amazing character in this book.
Totally. I mean, or a character like him. I mean, geez.
Yeah, I guess they probably can't use Grimbor.
No, but you throw a leather daddy into anything and kids go crazy.
It'd work.
I mean, it's like look at Masters of the Universe.
Well, she may have been the reason he started his crime spree because he was charmed by her.
Charmed, and then he was like, "That's it. I'm gonna pull out these chains and do some damage."
But very similar to this character, she was murdered off panel. This character was not murdered, but she was murdered off panel by women in a women's prison because her power made women hate her. And so we're seeing some similarities here.
Yes.
But her power made everybody like her, right? So this was a little bit different. Then, after experiencing this, Jewel, the mom, gets pregnant again, and the dad's like, yeah, I'm not having another kid with crazy pheromone powers, so he runs away. And Vanilla Cupcake is born, who was originally named Opal, and they start experimenting on the children because mom sells them out to GodCorp.
Mom.
Which is awesome. Lady. She sells them to Medical Concepts, a wholly owned subsidiary of GodCorp. Yeah, and this is really interesting because I know this is a lot. So maybe at the time, because this is probably more of your pop culture area, but I don't remember. I guess, different. Oh, yeah, I think I can pinpoint it exactly. This is pinning off of Different Strokes, isn't it? Because I was thinking more of the Ricky Schroeder stuff and some of the other stuff that came later in the 80s, right? I'm thinking some of the stuff that came later. I was thinking this might be too soon. But are we who was the person that played Willis?
Hold on
Different
a second.
Strokes.
Why can't I? Okay. Oh my gosh.
Like Kimberly, what's her name? Kimberly, like all those all the Different Strokes kids got in trouble.
Yeah.
The older kids did.
I know. His name is right there. Oh, man, you put me on the spot. The name is right there.
Yeah. Well, I've got it. I'll get it pulled up. So
okay.
It was. But, yeah, it's Todd Bridges. And Dana Plato.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what year she first got in trouble.
And as she started doing
it was. I feel like these things happen later, though. It looks like hers was, let's see, she got married in 1984 to her boyfriend. So it seems like her troubles looked like they started in 1991-ish. Maybe his started sooner, but I feel like maybe this was just enough known. So maybe it wasn't Different Strokes. Maybe this is just a play off of what's happening there. But anyway, this whole celebrity mom thing, I don't know. It seems somewhat ahead of its time because I can't really pinpoint this, right? This seems very Honey Boo Boo-esque.
Well, you're forgetting like a lot of the kids, a lot of the children actors from like the
like the 60s.
Well, from the 60s, yeah, even before then.
Funicello.
Well,
I don't think she had any issues.
No, but I was going to say the R Gang kids and stuff like that.
They had
a lot of those kids.
Shit.
A lot of those kids were if they were on contract to be in the show and they had to be a certain size or act a certain way,
just got rid of them,
or they got rid of them. And a lot of them they wanted them to cry on demand or on command. So a lot of times their parents would do things or say things to them before they would start to perform to get them to act the way that they wanted them on screen. Like, oh, did you know your dog died? Or, oh, and it would cause them, at that age, 5 to 10, a lot of, they're going through a lot of traumatic stuff, at that moment, because they don't know what's real or not real, and you can only deal with so much stuff. And then there was one of the kids was the parents were basically doing a Munchausen syndrome type thing to keep the kid sickly looking,
right?
Because his character was sickly, and they kept him sickly looking. Super sad story, because he ended up, like, after growing up, he was like, forget it, I'm like done with acting and stuff like that. Got out of all that, like he did the thing where you like divorce your family and stuff, and then he joined the military to get away from stuff and prove that he could do live his own life, and then he died in an airplane crash.
Yeah.
So
there was other, like Alfalfa.
Oh yeah.
Carl Schweitzer, Switzer, he had a messed up life, died at 31, penniless basically, but he got murdered. There's some, anyway. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. So it could be, it's like a combination of Our Gang and Strawberry Shortcake at this point.
Well, I mean, a lot of the child actors, in the 70s that were, at that time too, where their parents, I don't think, like, they were like, all right, cool, you're making us money, or you're making money, we'll take care of it for you. And those kids never saw it,
Yeah.
I mean, Danny Bonaducci, great example.
Well, Todd Bridges, Dana Plato, even Gary Coleman to an extent. Yeah. I mean, he had to go recapture his money, but those came a little bit later. That's why I was trying to pinpoint this, though, right? So, but I think you nailed it with the Our Gang stuff and the little keeping kids.
Yeah, Our Gang, Little Rascals. Gross. It's just definitely, yeah, it fits. And if you're Gerber and you're writing this in the 80s, that's your go-to reference points, is your own child.
And so we get a situation where so Cherry escapes and then gets captured by the police and put in an insane asylum. And for a quick second, I thought we were going to find out that Cherry was Medea.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because it was the same origin, right?
Right.
But we find out she escaped, and the reason she has all these weapons is she escaped the insane asylum and is now hauled up in this apartment trying to hide from the world. And so her name's Beryl or Cherry, depending on
how you know her.
Yeah. And she says, they also left a few psychological scores. I'm a raving, paranoid, and prone to outbursts of violence, which is completely understandable. When I saw the telephone, I was sure he'd been sent by GodCorp to murder me, which, okay, I can see why you're a little bit paranoid. So she has a lot in common with Duke now.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, but she says, like it or not, they're going to have their sister act. Cherry's Jubilee is going to Hokum, and my little sister will be free, or certain persons will be dead. So there we go. All right, so we get new character, Cherry's Jubilee, and she's ready to take out some GodCorp. And Duke's like, those two-legged scumbags killed a friend of mine, lady. I couldn't do much for him. Now they're after me for reasons too numerous to mention. I got nothing to lose by taking the offensive. Count me in. And Brad's like, he doesn't seem too keen, like he wants to leave his phones. Well, we get back to Cogburn here, and Cogburn's now holding a gun on the dictator of Hokum, who's about to be deposed, the best description there.
Yeah.
And Cogburn takes the shots, gets the dictator on the plane, and sends him away so he can interact in the future with Vanilla Cupcake. They're sending him off, and the creepy snake
Spine
spine is back. Yeah, that's okay.
climbs out of his body and runs away after he gets shot.
We get back to Manhattan. Cherry's Jubilee is now in full costume, superhero costume.
Mhm.
She's got a chain around her neck. She's got chains around her waist. She's got weapons and a iron ball in the middle of her chest to hit people with. And
Her
looks like
helmet.
they're ready to go. She's like, I know how to persuade airline pilots to do what I want. And wait, wasn't Cogburn in Hokum?
Yeah. And he got shot.
There's a Cogburn with 2 pistols. Like, they're shooting. They're like, Cherry's like, duck, think fast. He's got no sweats, and they start shooting, and Cogburn flies away. But then there's another Cogburn.
A Cogburn.
And another one. And another one.
Another one.
And another one. There's a whole bunch of Cogburns. And one of them says, I'll spear the bird. You guys divvy up the girl.
Oh.
Next, how to be your own best friend. I think we're going to learn more about Cogburn in the next issue, but I don't know because I haven't read it.
Oh.
Are we going to get to Hokum in the next issue? I don't know.
I don't
Are
know.
we going to save Vanilla Cupcake? I don't know. Are we going to have a dead duck? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know because I haven't read it. You know, but I don't know because I haven't read it. So, yeah, I mean, wow. You said it would get crazier as we went, and has it ever? It has definitely gotten crazier.
It's wild, man.
I think this one's like issue 1 was a one-off story, right? So now we're seeing we're seeing Gerber do some world building,
Mhm.
and this to me is not a 25 issue comic book, but I could totally take this as a 12.
Yeah, it's definitely like it has that storyline that you could pull it all together in 12 issues, give you a nice summation of a nice detailed world of Destroyer Duck.
Yeah, and we're not going to get 12 issues, but I totally could see it. Yeah, I could totally see this being 12 issues, like a 12 issue, Destroyer Duck world, and maybe if they had the rights back to another duck, this would sort of be combined together, right? With totally. I'm loving this. Even if we found out this was a different Earth, right? We find out he went and wiped out something on a different Earth, and he meets back with Howard the Duck, right? That could be cool too.
That would be awesome. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, like, you bring it back into all the what ifs, right? What if this was, one of those other Earths, and they get back together and they're like, wait, what? I thought you were dead. No, man.
I am the Watcher. It is my responsibility never to interact with any Mortons.
No!
How come the Watcher always interacted? Anyway, so So I mean, I think this is great. I honestly think too, like, if you were having something fun with this, you find out the Duck world the Duck universe is actually the main universe, right?
Right.
And then all these other things are the sub things, which I guess is what he's sort of doing. We'll never know because this doesn't keep going for a couple of reasons, but we're going to get a couple more issues to talk about. So we're gonna, and I'm excited about it. So yeah, I mean, you should be getting this episode around the 28th of November. So we'll probably finish out the year with some Destroyer Duck for the most part. We'll have 3 more issues of Destroyer Duck. So that'll get us through most of December. And then we'll probably do one we might cover some book called, I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to leave you in suspense.
Suspense.
Yeah. We got to get through some Destroyer Duck first.
Yeah.
Now, I know we said Destroyer Duck wasn't really in the drug comic series, but honestly, I think you might have had to have been on something to write this book.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does touch on drugs. So when you think about it, I mean, pheromones are very.
That is true.
It's a chemical.
Drugging the populace.
People give them off. People react to pheromones in different ways, and like Cherry's Jubilee, being around people causes them to act one way, and when she's gone, they act a different way. Same with Vanilla Cupcake. And
Vanilla Cupcake soothes people, subdues them.
Yeah.
Makes them want more product. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's a fantastic transition because I understand if you buy Absolute Zeros by Greg Smith and Michael Tanner, it will emit a pheromone that will subdue you and make you want to read the book over and over again.
Yes. Well, I mean, the book isn't even out yet, Dan. Thank you so much.
Well, in the future, you could buy it. You pre-order it with the anticipation of both.
Yes.
A wonderful smell and an MXPX CD. And, I'm just saying,
you get that T-shirt and you wear that.
Issue, and buy the hardcover, because honestly, if you get the hardcover, you get the MXPX CD and the wonderful vanilla smell. If you get the soft cover, you just get the MXPX CD. And we know.
No, you get the MP3 file. It's not even a CD.
It's like a scan. I don't even think. No, MXPX doesn't know what a those barcode things that I don't know, QR code that I'm messing up. QR code is, they don't know.
It's a DivX CD, so you get one play and it disappears.
Yeah, there's no QR codes in the entire city of Bremerton.
Okay.
That's just factual. Like, you've been there. Like, they banned barcodes in like 2008.
Oh, did they? Okay.
No, not barcodes, QR codes.
Oh.
Probably barcodes too.
Mm.
I mean, it's Bremerton. I mean, Bremerton's like 1981 all the time.
Okay.
You have nothing to say here. This is good. I'm just going to keep going. So order Absolute Zeros by Greg Smith and Michael Tanner with art by
Gabriel Gomez.
You can't even talk anymore. Okay, so that's good. Also, of course, you could, if you want to see Greg in an incapacitated state, you could always drop by the Retro Emporium in Kent, Washington, where they are currently setting up. I know this week. I know you're going to get this next week, but it's this week, but next week. But if you go next week when this podcast drops, you're going to see Ann Smith's amazing holiday display.
Yeah, and speaking of Vanilla Cupcake and Strawberry Shortcake, we're going to have a Strawberry Shortcake holiday display.
So not a Vanilla Cupcake display,
but Strawberry Shortcake.
And if you go in there, it smells like Fruit Loops. So
yeah. Which and the crazy thing too, I had to shout it out, is the Strawberry Shortcake house was my friend Kelly Orzechowski's childhood Strawberry Shortcake house. So I know she's probably not listening to this, but I had to put it out there.
How do you know she's not listening? It's entirely possible.
I know for a fact she would not be listening to this. If she is listening to this, I would laugh my full ass off, because
maybe we're not promoting well enough.
We're not promoting.
Yeah.
I would be like,
everybody knows you have your friends listen to your podcast, or you don't, because you want them to still be your friend.
That's 100% why.
Well, anyway, that's amazing. And also, if you go to the Retro Emporium, you will smell that wonderful Fruit Loop smell, and that smell will compel you to buy things. So make sure you stop by.
Stop by. We have the slime.
Kind of like the pheromones here.
Yeah, don't smell the slime. It smells disgusting.
And of course, in addition to those fine things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
On December 14, 15, 16, 16th, you'll have Krampus visiting, I believe, the Retro Emporium.
Yes, yeah, we will. We will have Krampus.
Is it the 16th or 17th?
Let me...
Is it a Saturday or a Sunday? Because that's all I need.
I believe it's a Saturday.
And that'll be the 16th of December, because I will be out of town, so I will not be there with Krampus this year, unfortunately.
Will not be there with Krampus this year. Oh, no.
But, yeah, you're going to have to handle Krampus all on your own. But
it's okay.
You can drop by then. So, holiday things are heating up there at the Retro Emporium on Meeker Street in Kent, Washington. Drop by. Of course, you also know, if you really want to smell some pheromones.
17th, December 17th.
That is a Sunday, so December 17th. And if you really want to smell some pheromones, you could always drop by the Jiu-Jitsu Lawyer's Gym on...
Yeah, you'll smell some pheromones. You'll smell...
It'll be fantastic.
Pain leaving the body.
Yeah, pain leaving the body, but you could stop by Certified Martial Arts in Tacoma, or you could just reach out to Jiu-Jitsu Lawyer Paul. Probably should put his information in the notes sometime, but if you want a workout plan or anything, or just learn more about Jiu-Jitsu, there's your guy. So, And if you want a lawyer, he's also your guy. He's multi-dimensional, just like Destroyer Duck.
Just like Destroyer Duck.
So, yeah, I mean, there's our plugs for now. Look forward to some cool stuff coming up. We can't wait to get through Destroyer Duck, though. So hopefully you're enjoying these episodes. If you are enjoying these episodes, of course, you can leave us amazing feedback on Apple or Spotify's or
wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Not the one that went away, but everything else. Yeah, you could leave us a review. And, or you could leave us a terrible review. That's what Greg wants you to do. I'd like good reviews. Greg wants terrible reviews.
I want reviews. We'll take them all.
Good reviews do help the podcast, but we don't ask you to actually Patreon.
We don't. Yeah, no, that's not a thing right now. So,
but if you did want us to start a Patreon of Greg eating weird things,
I'm not opposed to it. Although my dietitian might strongly advise against it.
My advice against it. Well, if you want Greg to eat weird things on Patreon, you can reach out to us on X at funny F. I don't know. Facebook or Insta. Just look for Funny Book Forensics. There's not really another one. So we're
on those things.
We're either Funny Book 4 and 6, or we are Funny Book Forensics. I believe on Facebook we are the whole words, and on everything else we are 4 and 6. But that's fine. You can find us there. You'll figure it out. I mean, if you can't, there is no other. We are one of a kind.
Yeah.
And just look for the logo with the thing.
I might eat the things. I might do that.
Well, it could happen. So, if you want Greg to do that, let us know. And other than that, I don't know. I mean, that was our plugs at the end of the episode that were not really plugs. But I would just say, too, if you want more of these fantastic commercials that we do, grow the listenership, and maybe we'd have a sponsor. And then I could read commercial copy, which would be stunning.
Oh, well, we should plug the thing that's still going on. Only and Only.
Oh yeah, will it still be going on?
Still be going on
future?
On the Kickstarter. Okay. Yeah, it'll be going on through December. So
how would we get to the future?
Yeah. Only and Only still it has met its goal, but going for stretch goals. So help Only and Only hit those stretch goals, because every time we hit those stretch goals, Only and Only will give you free comics.
By John, formerly of the Mothership,
but still of Only and Only.
Well, yeah, we'll have announcements about that stuff soon. But good news, just one last note on the podcast. I mentioned on our last podcast that we may have some changes to the podcast feed. That will not be happening. You can just find us at the feed. So what that will mean is, now that we aren't making changes, I will commit to getting a few more of the back episodes up there. So I've thrown a few more up there. Somehow, I think I mentioned it once, our feed was split. All the podcasts that came up on the feed since a certain time, we started loading onto one thing. All of them were there, and then all our other ones split into another feed. So I've been slowly adding them back on. So I apologize for that, but we'll get them back together for you. And I can commit to that now, because our home is here for a while, at least another year. So we'll be right here with you. And that's it. That's what I got. Yep.
Hey.
So don't worry about the feed changing. Probably too much inside baseball for the end of the podcast, but that's what you love about us. We're just going to tell you things
all over the place, just like Destroyer Duck everywhere.
Well, so until Cherry's Jubilee breaks into my house and makes everyone love her.
The face you made was great. Oh my god! If you all could see Dan's face, it's like, what?
I guess we will. Yeah, I guess. And that's a perfect note to sign out, if you could see Dan's face. Yeah, so that's another episode of Funny Book Forensics. Thanks, and we'll see you next time for some more Destroyer Duck.